Oh, and before we get started, can you give us a brief intro to what got you even into this Ayurveda and a little
Oh,
bit about your history?
you want my little story that I
Yeah, that
told you?
little story.
Okay, I'll tell you the story. So, and my name's Kimberly. So I was in my life. I was a business person. I was, very, very picked up, very aggravated, very unhealthy. So I was very stressed all the time, and I was very, very much overweight. Actually, I was morbidly obese. I unfortunately got double. Well, actually, fortunately, because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had a bacterial infection. I had from a leak in my loft, and I had got double pneumonia. My lungs were 90% full. I was in the hospital for a month. They didn't think I was going to live. I did live, but they told me I would be on oxygen for the rest of my life. So I was on 5 liters of oxygen. I couldn't even use a portable to leave the house. Because of that, I basically lost my business. I lost everything. I ended up being 48 years old, 365 pounds, couldn't get in and out by myself, was on oxygen, had to go home, live with my mother. So, and everybody basically thought I was going to die. And I thought to myself, this is crazy. I'm only 48. I can't die. I can't live like this. This is nuts. So I started Googling, like, how do I get off of oxygen? Because the Western doctors were telling me there was nothing I could do. And I found Ayurveda. I found Dr. Lad's book, Dr. Vasan Lad, and I started slowly doing all the things. So I started with deep breathing because I couldn't do any pranayama, like active. It was impossible, but just breathing deeply. I changed the way I ate. I started doing a dinacharya, like my daily routine. I would add something slowly, slowly. And within 9 months, I had lost 100 pounds. I was off oxygen. And within 10 months, I was starting my first yoga teacher training. And I went from not even being able to get in and out of a car by myself because my hip was so tight that I couldn't lift my leg to, I do the splits both ways and can stand on my head. So the reason I decided to study it and become an Ayurvedic practitioner is I wanted to help other people like me that Western medicine basically said, there's nothing you can do. And I had gone to all the doctors and I tried all the dyes. I'd done everything for years and years and years. But with this, I found a way to heal myself. And you do have to be an active participant in Ayurveda. It's not something where you take a pill and it's all taken care of. But when you find something that actually helps and that you can do something and make yourself feel better and make yourself healthy, then you want to share that knowledge. So I went and moved to New Mexico and I studied with the doctor, Dr. Lad, who I read his book. And I was there for 2 years and I became an Ayurvedic practitioner. And then I went to India and I studied a little bit further and I went to a Gurukula program where I was in the jungle and I was studying with a doctor there. And then I went to Rishikesh and studied more yoga. And now I'm here with you guys. So that's my story.
Good results.
Mm-hmm.
You're here.
Yeah. And I've lost 200 pounds. So that naturally, without surgery, without drugs, without, and it's a healthy, if you, have a cookie, you don't gain it back because I don't really.
The fire burning.
Yeah, the Agni.
The agony.
So you have your digestive fire, which is your Agni. And if your Agni is strong, then, basically, that's the wonderful thing about Ayurveda. If your Agni is strong, if you are in health, you really can be like Jane, just eat anything and you'll digest it. Because he has a strong Agni, so he can eat whatever he wants. If you have a weak Agni, then everything you ingest, whether it's food or a loud noise, will create a toxin, which we call ama, which will cause disease. So we try to mitigate that and balance that out.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know it was things that you hear and things like that too. So I
everything.
thought the agony was more so based off of different things that I eat and that me digesting that. I didn't know it was also mental.
It's everything.
And I guess emotional and all of that.
Everything.
So all things take a little bit longer to digest and affect
Yes.
the system a little more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Everything that we hear, see, smell, all of our senses
Okay. All forms of consumption.
So we can start with just getting into what actually Ayurveda is. I'll break down. Ayur is in Sanskrit. Ayur means life. Veda is science. So Ayurveda is the science of life. So it is a way to manage all aspects of your life and health. It includes yoga, eating herbs, pranayama, meditation. There's really nothing that we could kind of not be able to find in the ancient texts to address any situation that we're coming up from. So that's a beautiful thing. I put in a little sutra here in your thing, which they can't see, which is, says sama dosha, sama agni, sama dhatu, mala krindya, prasana atmindriya, mana swasta ityabayate. So the translation is health is defined as the state in which the doshas, the bodily energies, the agni, the digestive fire that we were just talking about, the dhatus, which are layers of tissue. We have 7 layers of tissue in our body. And the malas, which are our waste products, so our sweat, our poop, our urine, all that, are in equilibrium. And when the soul, the senses, and the mind are in a pleasant and balanced state, then we have perfect health. And that's our goal with Ayurveda, is to try to create all of that. So what are the doshas? What are the 5 elements? The 5 elements are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. And our doshas, which we were just doing our little quiz to figure out what our particular constitution is, are related. So vata is ether and air. Pitta is fire and water. And kapha is water and earth. So so we have a combination of all these in our body, and we try to balance it by balancing. So say we have a vata constitution, they're predominantly vata. So we know that because it's ether and air, we look at the things that are like ether and air, so dry, wind, things like that are going to aggravate you. So when you're in a windy situation, when it's very dry, like say it's fall, you might have allergies, things like that. For kapha, we have the earth element. It's stability, it's moisture, it's love, it's compassion. On the other side, it can be, they get a little jealous, they get a little, overweight at times if they don't follow. Pitta is intelligence and ambition and movement and all of that kind of, what you kind of think of maybe as a type A personality. On the other side, they can get angry. If they don't eat, they can get hangry. They get really grouchy when they don't eat. So we have a balance of everything in our. So knowing your dosha balance, your prakruti, you can know what things you need to follow, what foods you should eat, and what kind of meditation you should do, what kind of yoga you should do, what kind of things you should avoid, and what kind of things you should embrace. So does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So as we go through life and we do the wrong thing, so we went to a rock concert and it was like, blah, and we came back and our ears were ringing and we're like, so what happened? Where vata got vitiated, we were off equilibrium. We get into a plane and we're flying and it's all the ether and air, so our vata gets vitiated. So we're all off, and everybody's off because you can't go through the world and not become off. So what that has becomes is your Vikruti, and that is what you are at this very moment. And we all have an imbalance. So with Ayurveda, we try to take the Vikruti, the imbalance of those doshas, and bring it down to the Prakruti, what you were born with. The minute you were born with your Prakruti. And when we have them back into alignment, we're healthy. So that's our basic goal. And in Ayurveda, we don't really say we're treating a disease or we're treating this. We're basically treating the dosha and trying to get it back to its natural state, back to where it's supposed to be, where that level is that's natural for you. So, so like just to get through, let's go through diet and lifestyles. For Vata, we want to emphasize grounding foods, warm routines, calming practices. Because it's movement, we want to, so kind of stop it from moving too much. So like increases like, so we do the opposite of what we are to balance ourselves out. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So with Pitta, we want to focus on cooling foods, relaxation, and not overstimulating ourselves. So there's always the idea of the Pitta aggravated man who's sitting on a beach in the hot sun, smoking a cigar and drinking whiskey. And my teacher always used to say, that would never happen. That's too much. But we're, as Americans, we know, well, yes, that happens all the time. And that person will be grouchy, angry. It's like, oh, you're like that guy. He's usually really red in the face, because the alcohol will, bring out the red. So, what we would tell that person is you need to stop the cigarette or the cigar, stop the alcohol, have like cucumber water, stay away from spicy foods. Cucumber water. It's very cooling. It's very relaxing. Or cilantro. Cilantro is very cooling. Cilantro water is very nice. Starting your morning with like water, cilantro water, lemon water, things like that. Actually, lime water is cooling. Lemon is heating. So depending on your prakriti.
No.
Doesn't matter if it's ice water or room temperature.
No, we always want to do room temperature water. So ice water actually is a shock to your system. It's not. In Ayurveda we want to have all our liquids are warm. We never drink cold water. We never drink ice. I know. It's a hard adjustment, but once you get used to it, then you actually realize that the ice will actually not quench your thirst as much as warm water, because it's a shock to the body. And also, if you're trying to say lose weight, it's really bad, because if you think about it, like increases like. So what happens when you have fat and you put it in the freezer? It solidifies, right? Or you put it in the refrigerator, it solidifies. When it's warm, it becomes liquid and it flows out of you. So if you're drinking warm water, it's helping flush out that fat. Whereas if you're drinking cold water, it's kind of going through your whole body and stiffening everything up, because your body's warm inside and then you're shocking it with the cold water. Not a good idea. So, do you like ice water?
No, she religiously drinks ice water.
Ah.
She will not drink no room temperature water. She rather,
I like ice.
I don't even want to say what she rather do, but it's ridiculous. She would not drink. And this one over here,
Yeah.
she drinks a lot of she likes to chew on ice and stuff like that. So I don't know what that's.
Have you had?
My bad to put you on blast, but she like whenever she needs some ice, it's something going on where she
I think
has.
it's more like a
Deficiency.
it's a developing iron deficiency, but I feel like now it's more like a coping mechanism for like
Stress.
yeah.
Because it could be iron. It could be. There are a few things that it could be. But are you
Just
vegetarian?
getting rid of whatever's stressing you. I think that's the key.
But it's also an iron deficiency for sure, because it's only it
So get
developed
some iron pills.
last year.
Are you cold a lot?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you are you vegetarian?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Plant based.
usually, you might have to supplement with some iron.
Right.
But there's also herbs that will have iron in them that you can take that also will do other things than just plain iron. So we can talk about that.
Solutions. Iron pills and get rid of whatever's stressful.
Yes. Yes. Stress is the worst thing that we can have. So Kapha, we're incorporating energizing activity, lighter foods, practices that prevent stagnation. So you want to keep movement. So here's the interesting thing. Here's a cute little thing. Like if you are Vata predominant, you might want a nice soft, bed. it's kind of like the three little bears, but Kapha should have a firmer mattress.
What was he?
He's Kapha. So you would want a firmer mattress because the tendency for Kapha is I'm going to curl up and stay in bed and I'm really comfortable. I want to stay comfortable. So we want to do the opposite and kind of make it firmer. Whereas Vata's like you need a little bit more comfort, and then Pitta can kind of be in the middle. So again, like increases like. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it
I
kind
would
of
rather take the firm route because I'm Vata, but I don't like the soft.
really. But see, that's what you want. See,
See,
So we kind of actually crave the thing that's often not good for us, right? So Kapha might really like cheese, but cheese really isn't the best thing for Kapha. Vata can have cheese. Vata can have everything. Not everything. No, take that away. You want to stay with like away from raw foods, so like salads, cold foods. Those things will aggravate you. So I have a client who she loves salad. She's Vata predominant, but she wants to eat salad every day, and then she becomes constipated. And that's one of the problems that'll happen with Vata. If you're unbalanced, constipation is really bad. So she's constantly saying raw roughage is, your body can't, it can't go through. So yeah, we want to do the opposite. So, okay, so how do we make ourselves feel better? So we do a thing called Dinacharya, which is our daily practice. And that starts in the morning. The first thing I always suggest everybody do is, first thing you get up in the morning, instead of drinking any water or doing anything first, is to scrape your tongue. So as we sleep through the night, we have toxins that kind of build up in our mouth. You get that in the morning, and if you kind of ingest anything before getting rid of it, you're putting those toxins into your body, and that can cause bloating, diarrhea, constipation, pain, causing all sorts of ama in the body. So we want to scrape the tongue first. I prefer a copper. For Pitta, copper is really good. You can also use a stainless steel. If you don't have a tongue scraper, you can actually use the spoon. Just use your spoon to do it. And then after you've cleaned your mouth, then you want to drink a cup of warm water. So that can be, if you're trying to reduce, like you can put lemon in it, or if you are trying to say you want to get rid of gray hair, a lot of times that's a copper deficiency. So putting a water in the night before in a copper cup, you can drink the water, and in the morning it's been settling in a copper cup. It's going to actually be a very gentle way to increase your copper consumption without, having to take a pill. So we want to try to avoid taking supplements if we can get everything we need from our food, because our food is medicine.
She want to know if she could replace the water with coffee.
No, she can't drink. You can have coffee later, but not the first thing in the morning. The first thing you need is water, because you need to hydrate the body. And as you'll actually start to feel it kind of, once you get to used to it, you're going to see it, feel it kind of, you'll feel it going through your veins. You'll feel it hydrating your body after that fasting rest at night. So, but then you can go to coffee. Just drink the water first, just 1 cup, and then go to coffee. But scrape the tongue. The Dinacharya it can be very long. It can take hours to do everything, but you can also pick and choose the things that are most important to you. For instance, we do eye exercises to keep our eyes strong. There's movement, yoga, meditation, breathing, pranayama. All of this is part of our daily routine in the morning before we start our life and go and eat our food and do everything. It is not realistic for most people to do an entire Dinacharya, because if you do everything, it's several hours. But even doing slight little adjustments, once it becomes natural, then you won't really even think about it, and then you can add more. So if you get up and you brush your teeth, you start adding small things to your daily routine. And I always say, start slow, do one thing, make it it's a habit where you're just oh, that's just something I do. You don't even think about it, and then add to it, because that way you're not oh, I'm doing all these things And then one day you're like, okay, today I don't have time, and I've just stopped. I'm like, oh, I have to get back to it, but I can't get back to it because, oh, I've got so much to do, and la, la, la. And so you're getting all yourself all crazy. But, the thing is that if you just do it slowly, 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 and then it's such a habit that if you do have that day when you're rushing to the meeting or you have something dramatic happen and you can't do it, you're not going to just stop it, You'll go back the next day and continue. So, it's like being kind to yourself, not making yourself, we put out so much pressure on ourselves. Like, I have to be perfect. We have to get everything done. And that's not because it's our body and we're supposed to love it and cherish it. And so you want to think of these things as something that I'm doing for me. It makes me feel better. It's bringing comfort to me, and you want to do it. You'll feel better. And it's not like a chore, because we don't want things to feel like a chore. We want it to feel like it's something special for us, that we're taking care of ourselves, and not feel guilty about that. And especially as women, sometimes we'll do that. We feel bad about taking care of ourselves. We'll think like, no, I'm supposed to be doing for other people, especially like moms. But it's really important to make sure that before you can take care of other people, you take care of yourself. It's like when you're in the airplane and you put on your oxygen mask first before you put on somebody else's, because you can't help anyone if you're not helping yourself first, with your health. So we have herbs, so different herbs. A lot of times they're kitchen herbs, so we don't actually have to go to an herbalist. Turmeric is one that's often everyone seems to know about. You add black pepper to it to make sure it gets into the system. That can reduce inflammation. That's helpful for diabetes. It helps regulate blood sugar. I find that you can add turmeric into almost everything that you do. It actually gives a nice color to the food, but you can sort of sprinkle it in, because it is a very neutral taste. Then there's triphala, which there are 3 herbs, haritaki, bibataki, and amalaki, that are in triphala.
I think I overdid.
Did you?
I overdid it when I first found out about it.
So we usually say about a half a teaspoon at night. How much were you taking?
It was like a cleanser. Then I was putting like my brother on it. But I think I got into it was like extreme for me, for real. But it was more of the haritaki because I knew it cleans out the system.
Yeah. So you were taking haritaki or triphala?
Both.
Just both.
I mean,
together?
No. I mean, haritaki and then.
Yeah. So I saw some people on TikTok saying haritaki's amazing. Just start. And there was a girl who was just like chugging it all day long, and I think
because it was the effect that it gave afterwards of how it cleansed your gut out, so it made your third eye more clear. And I think I got that effect.
You did? Okay. Well, that's good, but it can have, so with all these things, people kind of need to realize that herbs are medicine and they're very strong. So we can't just take it So I would suggest doing triphala, starting with like a half a teaspoon at night, about a half an hour before you go to bed, mixed in with some warm water. And it's very neutral. So there really aren't very many contraindications for triphala. So most people can take it. And it is a very good thing to balance all of the doshas. But if you take it in excess, it can cause gastrointestinal issues either way. So you can either become constipated or you can have diarrhea. So you really want to start slowly and then build it up. And you'll find it interesting that as you take it and as your dosha is balanced, the taste of triphala will change. So when you first take it, it doesn't taste that good. I'm sure.
It tastes bitter.
Very bitter. So what the interesting thing is, you taste in triphala because it has all the tastes in it, what you're lacking in your food.
Yeah, because over time it starts to get sweet.
It's sweet. It gets sweet. So actually, people that have taken it for a very long time, they're like, "Oh, it's yummy. It tastes sweet. It's like dessert."
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. Well, that's a perfect example. So, taking it slowly and then taking it, and then when you do taste it too sweet, then that means you kind of get very good balance.
Just don't think no more.
Well, you can keep taking it, but just don't take an excessive amount. So triphala is the kind of thing you could take you know, there's this saying, it's like your house isn't a home without triphala, like
Some
almost
people take
every.
it daily, like it's a daily practice. That's
Yeah.
just like part of the morning routine or night routine.
So morning is going to cause more, like usually we call it hemo when you have it soak overnight and then you take it first thing in the morning, and that's usually for people that have severe constipation because it's going to make you go. And if you take it like after 10 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to be pleasant. So I severely suggest you don't do that. And I tried it during school just to see what would happen, and yeah, you don't. You did that? Yeah.
So you did what again?
It's
Did
like
you
a little
take it?
tsunami.
Gotta go. When you gotta go, it cleans out everything like
Yeah.
in one sweep. Like if you ate a burger probably yesterday, you take it in the morning or you take it, it's just it's gone. But it's strong.
Yeah. So the best way to take it is a half an hour before bed, half a teaspoon with water,
Gotta go.
and then warm water, and then it should just balance you. It's not going to cause any dramatic effects. Yeah,
Small amount.
small
And that's
amount.
the triphala.
Triphala, yeah.
Okay.
It's
cool.
very neutral if taken in the, you
What
know,
is it, a powder?
it's powder. It's
It's a fruit. It's a dried fruit.
Yeah.
It's grind it up into a powder.
It's 3 berries, and they grind it up. And it has amalaki, which actually has had the highest amount of, it's an Indian gooseberry. It has the highest amount of vitamin C of any kind of fruit. So it's actually really good for preventing colds, balancing your doshas, keeping you regular. It does a plethora of things. It's really the magical kind
Yeah, it
of.
was a magical thing.
It's magical.
Where
We
do you
just don't
get it
take that
from?
much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where do you buy it?
You can get, I would suggest Banyan Botanicals, but actually if you go to any Indian store, like, you know, the little markets where they'll
Indian
have
markets.
it. Yeah, they'll have it. And it'll be
So it's called
triphala.
triphala.
Yeah.
And the other gooseberry you were talking about?
Indian gooseberry is amalaki.
It's a blend of.
But it's
a bunch
in
of
there.
berries.
So the amalaki, harataki, and bibataki are all in triphala. It's
Oh,
3
okay.
fruits. So three,
Okay,
try.
Try. Yeah.
But phala is a fruit, so triphala, 3 fruits.
So you said it has half teaspoon warm water,
Half teaspoon warm water,
Got it.
half an hour before you go to bed.
half hour before you go to bed.
And if you want, you could go on Banyan Botanicals. They're really good. They're very ethical.
I think that's where I got it.
Yeah.
And I was ordering like bulk. That's where I got it from.
They also, if you can't handle the powder, they do have pills. It doesn't, I mean, you can take it as a tablet, and often that's the way a lot of people will start because
Yeah,
it's
because the
easier.
powder, in the beginning, the powders are really big.
So it's called what botanicals? Where you
Triphala, it's in here.
Oh, okay, cool.
There.
Hmm.
Triphala.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. So, meditation and yoga. I feel like I skipped something that I wanted to talk about, but anyway, that's okay. Doesn't matter. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Meditation and yoga. So yoga is actually a sister science of Ayurveda. So there's some arguments. Some people say they're combined. Some people say yoga is part of Ayurveda. Some people say no, they're 2 separate things. But they're in conjunction. They work. Now we also have certain poses that we know help particular doshas. So for instance, for a pitta prakruti, you would want to do cat cow, camel, and cobra are the ones that really help, the kind of cooling, but also energetic. So we can also help different diseases or different issues with yoga poses. So for instance, going back to, I keep going back to constipation, but it is a big, huge problem in the United States. You can do lots of twists will help, or fish pose can help. Different things that are kind of help moving the lower GI tract. With pranayama, Kapalabhati will help. Agnisara, where you're rotating the stomach, will help. So when we look at yoga through the lens of Ayurveda, it becomes more of a modality to help different things. So if you have, say, any neurological issue, that's a vata problem, right? So we want to do more stabilizing thing. So we combine it with that. And then also with the pranayama, we have each of the pranayamas actually affect different doshas differently and also different diseases. So, for instance, if you have a neurological issue, Brahmari is really good because it's regulating the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems and calming them down.
What is it called?
Brahmari, bee's breath. So it's when you put your thumb in your ear, and then you put your middle finger on or index finger on your third eye, your ajna, and then you put these fingers kind of go down the side of your face. You tilt the head down a little bit. The tongue is behind the teeth and the roof of your mouth. And you breathe through your nose, down in, and then as you go out, and you can do 7 to 17, like start with 7, go up to 17. Brahmari is actually one of my favorite pranayams because there's really no contraindication. There's nothing that can, like if you have a hernia or, you've had surgery or various things, you can't do Kapalabhati. But with Brahmari, they really, if you're pregnant also. But with Brahmari, it's pretty much, it works for insomnia. It works for calming the nervous system. It works for stress. Whenever I had a big exam right before, I need to calm down. We have oral exams and they're very intense. So Brahmari, just focuses you, keeps you really calm. Kind of makes you a little bit lightheaded too. Sort of like kind of a lightness in the mind. It opens up the third eye. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously it's, but so we have, because of the vibration, it's going through all of the layers of tissue. That's why we do 7. So we have 7 layers of tissue. They're called dhatus. And dhatus, we have rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, maja, and shukra artava. So rasa is like your it's like your circular, it's like your fluid, your lymph movement, and also so it's your first layer of tissue, right? Rakta is blood and circulation, the heart. Mamsa is the muscle, so it's your muscular system. Meda is the fat, and that also is the one that gives you beauty. Meda comes from beauty. Asti is the bones, the skeletal system, and Maja is the neurological system, and then Shukra and Artava are the sexual, Shukra. Artava is for females, Shukra is for men, so it's our sexual reproductive system. I can't say words. Anyway, so we do 7 at least, so that we're making sure when we do a pranayama, any of them, we want to do minimal of 7, so that we're getting down to each level of tissue. So actually, with the circle of if you think of all of the dhatus as in a circle, every time you put something into your body, every 5 days, it affects that tissue. It takes an entire 30 days or 35 days to get everything through the system. So if I eat an apple, the first thing it's doing, it's hitting my rasa, then those nutrients are going to my blood, and then 5 days after that, it's going and helping my muscle. 5 days after that, it's affecting my fat. So it's going through every single tissue, but it's doing it every 5 days. It gets to the next tissue. So you could actually look at that and sort of see I did this, but I didn't really feel it right away. So maybe I had, I went to a birthday party and I had lots of cake, right? And then I didn't, maybe feel the effect of all of that cake didn't happen the next day. It happened like through the entire month. You're still feeling the effects of that cake. You're still getting the nutrients, but also the bad effects. You had too much sugar, so it's taking like a month for that to kind of clean out of your system. So, sometimes when we're eating, we think, well, God, I was really good for a whole week, but now I'm not. Well, what were you doing the week before? So it really takes like time to change your body. And so when you're doing things, it's not the quickest thing in the world to really change everything, because you need to give it time. That's why, if you're going to change your diet, like give it some time to see how those things are affecting you. Yeah.
Consciously eating.
Consciously.
And what are some of the situations y'all deal with as far as high blood sugar, or what's some of the things when you was in Florida and you said you had to get a prescription for something and
Oh, because I always had high cholesterol, which I don't have anymore. So it's gone. But I asked the doctor, could I come off the, what's the thing called? Statin. She said no. A week later, I got severe leg spasms. It was the statin. So I called and she said, stop taking it immediately. But she didn't give me anything else to do, because she said if I stopped immediately, although my cholesterol was normal, it would shoot back up. So I called her and asked her for another medication, because you told me I couldn't just come off of it, but I never picked it up. I'm not going to take it. Let's take my chances.
Well, there are herbs that can help with that. And if you like, when we're not on camera.
They never worked. I think it's hereditary. Me and my daughter, we have very high, we're talking about 450, 500.
Well, you probably have familial
Extreme.
cholesteremia. Yeah, that's an actual thing. But
So now I don't have anything. Sean changed diet and did severe exercise, got hers down. Mine never went away to the statin, which I'm not on anymore, but I'm not on any medication. That's all I ever had was high cholesterol. What about you?
you ain't gotta keep no secrets now.
Have you tested your cholesterol since then? Do you know what it's at?
Yeah, it was last week when she said it's normal. I said, since it's normal, can I just get off the statin? She said, no, I want to wait till you come back in April for your yearly appointment, because if it's low, then you'll be okay to come off.
So you are taking the statin now, or you're not? You're not.
Because of the leg spasm.
Right. So, because it does cause muscle wasting. And there is some thoughts that maybe statins can lead to dementia, because the cholesterol is in the mind. But there are a lot of different. What herbs did you try before?
Oh, it was so many, because I've had it my whole life. So I tried a lot of stuff, but it never took it down. As I got older, it went down to like 160s, 170s from the being 400s. I was down to that, and she thought that was horrible.
160? She thought that was horrible? No, it's fine. I mean, so if it's under 200, you really don't have to worry about it. No, that's fine.
They're trying to sell you
She
some
wanted
medicine.
105.
105?
But this comedian, it was so funny, because I was watching TV and she said they had everybody over 40 on a statin.
But they
And it's
slinging
fine, it's
statins
true.
like drugs.
Yeah.
If I was selling statins, I'd tell you needed some too.
So no, I'm not taking anything now. And that's all I ever took. I'm not on medications.
Okay, that's good.
And you?
Got severe gambling keeps me.
I'm sorry, what?
We're talking about stuff.
I'm messing with her.
Any medications.
Let's see, I took metformin for sugar. I'm taking blood pressure's a little high. That's probably for my lungs.
Thank you.
I also took cholesterol has always been, but my cholesterol, last time I checked it was about 100 and something, so it was low hundreds.
So you shouldn't even be on it.
Well, are you still taking the
You just like how
statins?
they taste? Get you high?
So
Why you still taking them if you don't need them?
well, maybe it just keeps it down. I've been taking it for the last 10 years, so
Habit.
So what are some of these herbs that you were suggesting?
Well, I can't
that-
actually.
Not necessarily. I know you're not a doctor.
No, yeah, and are we live streaming? Or
Oh
we
yeah,
just-
yeah, yeah. It is
yeah.
a live stream.
So, yeah. So I can't really tell somebody what, but I can say that there are herbs that can help. What you need to do if you want to get, so there's only one real way to go off of a statin and go to an herbal formula. And then you can do it, but you need to have a doctor that's willing to work with an Ayurvedic practitioner or doctor who can, or a natural, or a herbalist, so that they can slowly take the medicine that you are. It's got to be a slow change because you can't just stop and do another thing. That's not safe. But if you're working with, you have somebody that can work with your doctor, like say you're on metformin, there are herbs like Shardunica that will help. But you need to have the doctor work with so that as you're taking the herbs, you're slowly increasing those and you're slowly reducing the Western medicine. Otherwise, it can be dangerous. So I can't just sort of tell you. And also, anybody that just says, "Hey, take this herb," that's not a good idea. There's some things like triphala where I can say, yes, it's very gentle, mild, and most people can take it. It's not going to be dangerous. But when you're getting into specific things, like you have a specific issue like high cholesterol or diabetes, you really need to have somebody that does a full workup on you because there's lots going into it, and then they need to work with your physician to do it safely. So anybody who's just like, no, don't, no, that's the person who's being dangerous, and I would not follow their advice. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that are, very mild, like, like teas that you can take that'll help different things, but it's not going to affect your medicine. Okay. There are also things, there are herbs that will, that will be bad with medicine. So, they're contraindications, so you need to be careful. You can over supplement too, and then that can cause problems in your liver, because your liver is having to digest and filter all this medicine, all these herbs. So we have to be careful about all those things. But there are lovely things in Ayurveda that don't actually cause any, you need to digest. For instance, if you have a headache, they're little hacks. You can take nutmeg, crushed nutmeg with a little coconut oil, and put it across your forehead, and that will get rid of your headache. I had a client who he literally was going to the hospital for migraines, and they had him on all sorts of medication. And he would go to the hospital, and nothing would work. And he started doing the nutmeg, and he doesn't get headaches anymore, or he doesn't. They go away immediately. So, things like that are natural. You're not actually ingesting it either, and can do tremendous, things for, it's like dry eyes. You can spray rose water into your eyes as long as it doesn't have any alcohol. Like Heritage makes a good one that doesn't have anything but rose water in it. So spraying that into your eyes and doing eye exercises can get all the muscles going again. So what happens sometimes as we age, all of this gets stiff when we stop looking around. It causes us to lose our sight, and because we're not getting the lubrication. So doing eye exercises and spraying rose water can alleviate that or even reverse some of those things. I'm 55 and almost, I'm going to be, I don't know. But, and I don't wear glasses. So, those mostly do. And I mean, for my age, most of my friends are.
I don't either.
Yeah. But keeping your muscles around your eyes, like, they're very important.
Mahogany, crushed nutmeg. Was it crushed nutmeg? Because you were saying about your headaches sometimes.
Crushed nutmeg and what, coconut oil?
Yeah, coconut oil just to get it to stick. It's not really just, you can just put something, if you.
Oh, it's so topical.
Yeah, it's topical. Just put it right here. Dr. Laud, my teacher, has a very good book called Home Remedies that has lots of little things like that in it. I highly suggest it. Vasant Laud, VASANTLAD. Home Remedies. It's a purple book, purpley red. It's like this. And he goes through little hacks you can do for different things.
How do you spell it again?
Dr. Ladd, it's Vasant, and the last name's Ladd, Lad, and he's you know, a genius. He's a miracle worker. He's been able to cure things that, I mean, it's amazing what he can do. He's at the Ayurvedic Institute, which is now in Asheville, North Carolina.
Hmm.
I think the website is ayurveda.com.
Yeah, last time I checked, I thought it was in Chicago.
He was in Albuquerque, actually, for 35 years, and they just moved to Asheville. Unfortunately, because then they hit the horrible storm.
Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I mean, I think they still like it there, but yeah, you know, the storm came. Not good.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he's in India. You didn't know about the storm?
in New Mexico.
No, in Asheville.
Oh, in Asheville. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they
I heard
moved
about
to
the storm in
Asheville.
I've
Yeah,
seen
they
a
moved
couple
from
things about
Albuquerque.
that.
Yeah, they
for
moved to
sure.
Albuquerque to Asheville
Okay.
just like a year ago.
Mm.
So. Mm. Did you fill out your?
Yeah, I filled it out.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Do you want? No, I just what does it say you are?
The
Mostly.
main one I have is Veda,
Veda, Vata.
Vada,
Can't say words today.
and the second, they kind of retired.
Dictate. Okay.
Yes.
So that's good because it means you're very balanced. So in the perfect world, like if you were to have Buddhas, you know, or some ancient sage or Jesus, or you know, his Prakriti would be exactly the same, like completely everything would be even. Is regular human beings were not like that. So although his goal is that if you reach enlightenment, if you reach moksha, you can become completely balanced if you're at that level. But that is really good. It's very balanced. So Vata, going back, because mostly Vata is creative. It has movement. It's inspiration comes from Vata. It's your neurological system. It can get dry though, so so you would be careful to like make sure you keep warm, eat warm, ground nourishing food, and stay away from like dry and cold food. Then you'll feel, you know.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was hard answering some of the questions because some of them was like my hair texture mixes, my skin is a mixture. So it's one of those I kind of just had to pick the next answer.
Yeah. Well, this is a very simple one, so I just did this more so you guys could get an idea. When I have a client, you have a very long history that you fill out, and then I'm asking you questions, and I'm taking your pulse, and we're doing lots of things. So, you know, sometimes, especially with these kind of forms, I find that sometimes also we tend to find that what is our Vikruti, the thing that's vitiated, because that's what we're going to. So, you know, it's a balance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it gives you, even if it does tell you what it's more imbalanced than what your natural state is when you were born, it's still telling you kind of what you need to do to balance that out, because you know that that's the thing that's most traumatic, and you need to, you know, keep things. So as we were saying earlier, like increases like, so we want to do the opposite of whatever it is to balance everything out, because our main goal is to keep everything balanced and even and calm and happy and chill. Yeah.
Do they allow you to accept insurance in your Ayurveda practice?
No. Actually, in my practice in the United States, I can't really be considered I'm not allowed to treat a disease. I'm only allowed to give lifestyle.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, yeah.
So there are 3 levels of
Mm-hmm.
Ayurvedic people in the United States. You have a health coach, which is really just diet and lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
They go to school for like a year usually, hopefully. Although there's some programs I would be careful. Like there are people that go for a month, and you know, because they're not really regulated, and I would be more cautious. You know, I would definitely make sure whoever you're going to, you know what kind of school they went to. And then the practitioners, a 2-year program, and we're allowed to do herbal formulas, so we get tested on all those things. And then there's a Ayurvedic doctor in the United States, but it's not an Ayurvedic doctor like you have in India. In India, they are physicians. They have hospitals. They do surgery. They're
Oh, really? What part of India?
all of India.
Really?
But in the United States, our Ayurvedic doctors are not BAMs. It's like kind of like the AMA here at BAMS is in India. They're more like a PhD idea. So like my doctor is a BAMS doctor. Like my doctor that I studied under, he was the chief of staff at an Ayurvedic hospital in Pune, and then he came to the United States. So in the 70s, but most of the doctors you're going to find here are. Now there are some, and actually I went to school with some doctors, medical doctors and then they went to school to become Ayurvedic practitioners because they wanted to become. So because in Ayurveda we don't try to like treat the disease, we try to prevent the disease. We want to go to the root cause. We're not treating symptoms. So like if you have something, I'm not going to look and see like, okay, you have this disease. I want to give you a medicine that's going to like fix that. I want to find like why is that happening? What is the dosha imbalance that's causing this disease to erupt in your body? So when we treat that, we're treating a plethora of things, and then you feel better all over, but it's also going to stop any other future things from happening that's also going to cause from that imbalance. But we can't do, yeah. So I am board certified through NAMA, which is trying to work on kind of like traditional Chinese medicine became available for insurance. They're trying to work on that, but
Okay.
I think it's going to be several years away. But it's becoming more popular, because before nobody really knew what it was, and now people kind of know what it is. Not everybody.
And it's definitely a transition in just like society to what's really gonna work for me, going to the source of things. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely on the way.
In India, they're regular, like people have their Ayurvedic doctor. You go there to a doctor's office, it's just like a really regular doctor's office because it's treated very differently there because that's their traditional medicine. It's interesting. There's a little cute tidbits. When the English sort of colonized India, doctors started reading the books of Ayurveda. They mostly tried to destroy everything because, they were, colonizers. But some of the doctors actually read books, and that's how modern plastic surgery came from. So 5,000 years ago, around, there was this king. He was in battle, and his nose got chopped off because there was a big battle, and he lost his nose. And he was like, "Hey, I'm the king. You got to do something about this." So they came and they made him a new nose. They constructed a new nose, and that was the first plastic surgery. And when the British doctors read about this in like the 1800s, they were like, "Oh, that's interesting. We could do these things." And that was the beginning of modern plastic surgery, which is interesting. So it actually is Ayurvedic.
Do they have any studies of like the Ayurvedic systems in India versus the American hospitals and like just the treatment of certain conditions, or just how that compares to like the systems here in the States?
Yeah, there's the NHI does a lot of different studies, and so there's definitely proven statistical methods of blah. There are definitely studies that are showing the proof of these alternative therapies. Well, they're not alternative over there; they're like the basic. But and also the Ayurvedic Institute and Banyan Botanicals are actually sponsoring and trying to do more studies in NAMA so that they can have proof that these things do work. So yeah, you can look it up online. There's lots of papers and depending on what you're looking at. So sometimes you'll have something where, you'll get a Western doctor and they'll say, well, that doesn't work. That's just, pseudoscience. But you can see the efficacy with different, when you have trials. And that's what they're doing more now to kind of convince the Western world. In the East, they already believe it. They don't have. There's actually a very famous doctor down in Karnataka who is known for like being able to cure cancer. People will stand in line for days to see him. I think he's either there Kerala. But anyway, they have different, so they've proven, and then they also have hospitals there. I mean, you can have open heart surgery in an Ayurvedic hospital in India. It's not, they have trauma units. Yeah.
How long would you say it takes to become a doctor of that?
So if you were to become a BAMS doctor, like in India, you'd have to, it would take like as long as it takes to become a doctor here. It's like you're going to medical. Yeah.
I like 8 years. What is that? 8 years?
Um,
What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's
Eight
very.
is like
Hmm.
16 if you want to go to like PhD.
A residency and all of that.
That's
Yeah.
actually like 14.
To become a Ayurvedic doctor in the United States, which is more of a PhD, it takes 4 years.
That ain't long.
But the institute, which never used to let anything be online, they do have an online stuff now because COVID changed that. So, if you're interested, and there are a few good schools. Obviously, I'm preferential to my school, but there are some good schools. But make sure that they're part of NAMA, which is NAMA. When you Google it, make sure you put NAMA, then like put Ayurveda, because there's like some other, I think, automotive thing that's NAMA too. But they have a list of the schools that are recognized so that you can become board certified, so that people do, and I mean, it's not like you need it for any kind of legal reason, but I think it helps, so that people know that you've passed the test, you know what you're doing, you're not going to hurt them, Because you can, if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, you're prescribing herbs and things, you can hurt somebody. So you have to be careful,
Anybody have any questions?
Very informative. Yeah, more options.
Yeah. Well, this is just a general overview. I mean, actually, it's not even, it's like if I studied my entire life, I wouldn't know all of Ayurveda. It's so massive. It's insane. Even Dr. Lad said he still studies. He still reads the scripture every day. And it's also very connected. Like, you also study Indian philosophy, the Shandarshan, the 6 different philosophies when you do this, because it's all related. In the West, we kind of separate spirituality, religion, and everything. It's all in its separate boxes and philosophy. And in the East, it really isn't. It's all intertwined, because life is all intertwined. And we try to mix everything. We in Ayurveda, in yoga, we know that there's levels to all of that we need to mix and combine. And then we can see the whole, of what we're looking at, as opposed to just pieces. It's like having a puzzle, and if you have just little pieces here and there, you can't really see what's going on. You put it together, and you have a more beautiful aspect of life. So this is just a little thing, but if you want, we could get into a more deeper, specific.
We talked about earlier one of the practical things that kind of everyone could do, and it was a routine. And you called that routine, what was the special name for it?
Dinacharya.
Dinacharya.
So it's your daily routine. There's also Ritacharya, which is the seasonal routine. So like seasonally, we want to change when it's cold. We're going to do more warming things. In the summer, we're going to do more cooling things. So obviously, our food should change. For instance, it's the middle of the summer. You're not going to go run 10 miles, in the heat. I mean, you could, but it's not really a good idea. Mm-hmm. So that would be the time to do like a more cooling yoga practice, where if it's in the middle of winter and you're freezing, it's good to get your, more blood rushing, you can do heating things, go into the sauna, you know, but you wouldn't want to do that. You're not going to go into a sauna in the middle of summer. That's crazy. I mean, but people do it, but it's not good because then your pitta's going to get hot and you're going to get out. You're going to be irritable, angry, blah, blah, blah. So, same thing with your dinacharya, which you do every day. Your rutacharya changes, you know, by the season.
So seasonally, what are some of the in the season that we're in now? What are some of those things?
So right now it's very vata vitiating because it's the fall. Everything's dry and crunchy. So we want to eat more moist foods. We want to keep ourselves bundled up. If it's not a cloudy, rainy day, it's a good time to do abhyanga, which is self-massage with oil. So depending on your dosha, you would do different. So if you were like pitta, coconut oil is really good. Sunflower oil for kapha and sesame oil is good for vata.
What if you're allergic to sesame seeds?
You can use
Sesame oil?
it says not the kind that you cook with. It's a different. Don't get the. You could also use sunflower. You just want to use if you have it could get kind of there's Mahanarayan oil, but it could be expensive to do an abhyanga with that. It actually is very good if you have any kind of arthritis or pain. Mahanarayan oil will get into the joints, and you can mix that. You could use Mahanarayan oil. You can get that at Banyan. It is kind of expensive. If you go to the Indian store, you can get a bottle for like $6. And then like at Banyan, it's going to be like
All her
20.
facial stuff expensive, so she shouldn't have no issue.
Oh, I personally try to get it at the Indian store. 'Cause,
Well, she don't want it if it ain't expensive.
yeah. You know.
I'm going to the Indian store.
What?
How do you spell
Where is
it?
there Indian store?
Mahanaran, it's Mahan. Mahanrayan, I think. Mahanaran. Ryan. I can look. Hold on.
That sounds like my
It
name.
looked like my name.
Oh yeah, and you make a couple herbal infusions and blends and stuff like that. So
That's why I'm definitely interested in this class. I'm about to find the best school and enroll in it.
I looked some up like a year ago. They were Ayurvedic, holistic. I'm now thinking more of like a cross reference between Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine.
I don't know if there's a class at my school that does both.
I
But
know that's what my brain was thinking.
Yeah. Chinese medicine is very long time too. I mean, Chinese medicine's great. We have a lot of things in common too.
Yes.
So like for
There was
instance,
similarity.
yeah, like acupuncture actually comes from marma. So marma are the 108 energy points. Then we use to try to, if you have a blockage, we kind of make that flow. So when the Indian people were fighting in war with the Chinese people, they actually used marma points to, get the bad thing, do the bad thing on the people. And so that's where the Chinese kind of took that and expanded it and started acupuncture. So, and they've obviously, I don't even know how many points they have, but it's in the lineage of marma. So I do marma therapy. But, I don't know acupuncture, but it's in there. But I know marma you can learn pretty easily. Acupuncture takes years. Because we're not dealing with needles or anything like that. Doing pressure point or a tuning fork.
And before I cut the live, is there any how can people, if people want to connect, people want to find out some of these lifestyle situations, what's the best way to reach you?
Oh, well, I have a website, but actually follow me on Instagram. It's Subtle Ayurveda. I don't know, I have a thing.
Subtle Ayurveda.
Yeah,
but
you're
it's spelled
following.
a little different. It's
Yeah,
spelled-
it's Subtle, Sutol. So it's lotus backwards. Subtle.
Yeah, subtle.
That's cute.
So, but you're following me, so they can find me through you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
subtle Ayurveda.
I don't have a lot of followers. I just started using social media but I am working on, I'm putting little hacks and stuff, and I'm going to start doing more things. So, and I'm going to be doing some classes, some free classes online too.
I think the Krishna temple would be open
Oh.
to it. I feel like that would be a good idea.
Yeah, that would be
to
great.
put it on the calendar at the Ishkan temple.
Yeah.
And they have a couple Ishkan temples because I was thinking maybe churches, but the temples would be a little bit easier of an intro to Ayurveda than.
Because they do that already.
Yeah, they do that already, and it's actually already a part of the yoga science. So I feel
Yeah.
like definitely reaching out to a couple of the temples, probably starting off with the Ishkan, but they also have one in what's the couple
Farmington
of
Hills.
Farmington? Yeah, the one in Farmington, one out there is pretty cool, and they're always open to different people coming and speaking about, especially if people are knowledgeable and actually giving out that information.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time they're real focused on the bhakti and the japa, and the one in Detroit's the only one where I actually could go to actually get a yoga class
Yeah.
and actually go into some of those parts of the body. It's like bhakti, 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 but it's so many forms of bhakti, and even
Yeah.
I feel like the Ayurveda and the going into the body and the Ayurveda, those are also forms of karma yoga or bhakti, whatever it might be. They all kind of seem the same to me.
Well, they're all.
Kiana, it seems like all one to me in a sense, like as far as it's kind of sort of, but
Well, there's the different. I mean, it is all connected because it's all a part of the body. So we have these sheaths that are the knowledge, and when you add the philosophy element into it, or even if you're looking at the 8 limbs of yoga, I mean, all of it comes together. It's
What school did you go to again?
the Ayurvedic Institute. Yeah. We could also do like a thing where we learn how to make khichdi or something, like cooking class.
that sounds like a vibe. Get some hands on.
Yeah, cooking classes are good.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming.
That sounds like a plan. So question, because